All right, welcome back, Bears fans and Bear Down. If you haven't hit the subscribe button by now, not sure why you haven't, but do so. It really helps me out. We're going to continue to grow this thing. Let's get back right into our Bears breakdown mini series we're doing. This is the cornerback position, and it's probably the easiest video we're going to do, so it might be a little shorter one, but enjoy it anyways. It's a good one. There are some good things we'll bring out. This position, to me, is the most lockdown position for the Bears. Not a lot of help needed on it in the offseason. In fact, barely any. The only thing we really need to do is focus on getting that contract done with Jalen Johnson and getting it done right now. But as much as Ryan Poles has given us a surety, he has said it's going to get done. They're confident in his end-of-year press interview. He said it's going to get done. So let's just put our faith in Poles, as we've done so much, and he's come through for us, and say it's going to happen. Here's the current contract we have for the Bears. I didn't have Greg Stroman on the end of that. I don't know why. But he's also a free agent. Greg Stroman, Jalen Jones were undrafted free agent. Jalen Jones for the Bears, undrafted free agent. Greg Stroman came from the Commanders and had a decent career over there, but really has had a lockdown year for us as a backup. So I love the depth on this team. Josh Blackwell is the only weakness, in my opinion, that I don't think will re-sign. But before this year, he was solid too. I mean, he's a practice squad player, called up. I mean, he really has some good experience, so I wouldn't be upset if we re-signed him to a minimum contract, but I don't see that happening with the depth we have. Tyreek Stevenson and obviously Terrell Smith were this year's rookies. With Kyler Gordon last year, he's the nickel. We've got good positioning for our Bears cornerback room, which is why it makes sense that we just signed Jalen Johnson. The reality is, he's going to make somewhere between 15 and 20 plus, maybe. I don't think he's going to go quite on the top end. He might want to reset the cornerback market. There was a lot of scrutiny coming into this year that he doesn't take the ball away, that he doesn't create those turnovers. That's kind of gone away this year because of what he did. But man, there were some left on the table, too. There were some pick sixes that he could have taken to the house if he would have just held on to him. So he's not perfect, but he is elite. He is the number one graded on PFF cornerback, and he had a phenomenal year. He had an over 90 grade. And look at the fifth row over. That passer rating allowed is ridiculous. 33.3. That means when a cornerback targeted his receiver, he only allowed a 33.3 passer rating. What is a little concerning, go down 2 rows and you'll see Tyreek Stevenson at 100.4. That's not good. But what does make you excited, and I want to point this out so everyone hears it, the first 5-6 games of the season, he was at 120 plus on his passer rating allowed. The rest of the season has brought that down significantly. So really the last half of the season, he has really come into his own, and you see that a lot with rookies, especially rookies in these types of positions that take experience at the NFL level to really get their feet wet, to get a feel for it and know how to play the game. The NFL level cornerback position is very different than the college cornerback position. It is extremely different. So the fact that he was able to adjust and adapt and turn his game gives me a lot of excitement for him. You see Terrell Smith right below him at 81.4. That's not a knock on Tyreek Stevenson. That just shows that Terrell Smith really did a good job when he came in, but there are some knocks on Terrell Smith too. That last game of the year when he started for Jalen Johnson, it was rough, but it was good for him. He needed the experience, but it was a rough game for Terrell Smith against the Packers. That was bad. But overall, this team is solid. It's deep. It's got depth to where if you bring in a backup, it feels like maybe a low-level starter on another team. And that's what you want. You want guys that you can plug in there and be able to make it so this defense doesn't blink twice. The beautiful thing of this, too, is you see Jalen Johnson with his 4 interceptions and a forced fumble this year after the scrutiny of not having really anything. And, man, he could have more, and I wish he did have more. But look at Tyreek Stevenson with his 4 interceptions and his 1 forced fumble as a rookie. That's pretty phenomenal. So there is a lot of growth there. He's got the size. He's adapting. He's developing. And I really like where this cornerback room is with our 3 main guys, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson. So unlike my other videos where let's do this first. Yeah. So on the defense, you see here's kind of the weaknesses that I've pointed out for us. You see Stevenson with a light green color instead of dark green. Light green just means there's a little bit of concern, but really I addressed that. At the end of the year, he came on strong and really adapted and grew, so I'm not worried. I think all 3 of those are definitely lockdown starters for next year. The only thing we need to focus on is pay that man. Pay that man. Get him signed. It's going to happen. So unlike other videos where I kind of go through some free agents that might be values or that we might want to pick up, I'm not going to do that in this one because I don't think we should. I think we're really, really solid with our cornerback room, and I think it needs to stay the way it is with continuity and continue to grow it. Now, I always look through on these videos on this little mini series players who we could address in the draft. I'm going to point out a couple guys that are value signings that I wouldn't be upset if we picked them in later rounds because I love to do this type of stuff and look into these guys. The top two above that line you'll see are Cooper DeJean and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Those are kind of the consensus 1-2 cornerbacks in this class. We're not going after those guys. We're not going to waste one of our value extreme draft capital on one of those two guys. If anything, it would be fourth round or later, in my opinion, if we do end up picking a cornerback. I don't see us doing that. But if we acquire enough capital, I also could see us doing it if we turn those 6-7 picks into 12 picks. I can see us doing this. So the guy I want to point out that I fell in love with as I was doing this was Jarrian Jones of Florida State. Florida State had a lot of quality players this year, which is why they had such a good run, but things just didn't go their way at the end of the year, and it's unfortunate for them because they had a solid team. But the thing with Jarrian Jones is look at his not only takeaway rate, 3 interceptions to 1 and 1 forced fumble, but his passer rating allowed against him, 25.3. The top guy in this draft, Cooper DeJean, was at 37.8. 25.3 is lockdown. Now, I did say before, the college game and NFL game are extremely different at the cornerback position. So this means only so much. But if you're looking for a guy at value, predicted right now to go between pick 90 and 130, man, if we snag Jarrian Jones at the beginning of the 4th round with our first pick in the 4th round, number, I think, 111, or even the compensatory pick, if Ian Cunningham gets picked up by another team as their GM and we get a late 3rd round compensatory at 99, if we pick up Jarrian Jones, I won't be one bit upset. I know there's other places we need to address, and I have full confidence in polls, but you have to realize sometimes players like this are steals. And if we look into him and we fall in love with him and say, we want him, I won't be one bit upset. So here's a couple guys for you to look at. The other one, Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, really, really solid player too. As you watch his tape, the thing that I loved about him was his tackling. He doesn't let anyone get past him, and he moves really well. So that would translate well to the NFL level. That's one thing that does translate. So I really, really like that on him. And the last one, Sebastian Castro. He played across from Cooper DeJean in Iowa. A solid player all around. If we're getting late into the draft, you already see him coming up on some boards. Draft Buzz has already had him rising significantly. So I don't know if he's going to stay way down there. But I'd really like to see Jarrian Jones, if we do pick up extra draft capital, see him in a Bears uniform. That would be a lot of fun. So here's my suggestions as we get to the end of each one of these videos. My preference, there's only one option on this class. On the cornerback breakdown for the Bears, one option, get JJ re-signed. JJ, Kyler Gordon, and Tyreek Stevenson, that's a solid starting cornerback room. And they're young, and as they get more experience, they're only going to get more lockdown. And you've got quality pieces behind them. I love it. If we pick up a value draft in the 4th round or later, I'm okay with it. I'm not one bit upset. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinion on the Bears cornerback situation. I think it's the easiest one for us to evaluate this offseason, so it's good for a midweek video. If you liked it, please like the video, share it with your friends, hit subscribe, and until next time, bear down.